In the Holy Land, endless fields, wildflowers in the soul. Their appearance has changed little since the Bible evolved. Seas of yellow chrysanthemums, daisies, and mustard, punctuated by Persian buttercups, covered ancient Israel as they do today. The flowers, vegetables, plants, and trees of the sacred land, like the people, are direct descendants of those living during biblical times. The Flora of the Holy Land were not only present during those days, they played charming parts in the stories we know so well. We are all friendly with the names of the flowers, plants, and trees of the Bible, but do we know what they looked like? Wouldn't our appreciation of the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Koran be made more delightful if we could see the beauty of the garden of God? And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, for the Lord thy God bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths, springing out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey. And they came to Elim, where were 12 wells of water, and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the waters. And to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Jesus by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pound weight. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. My beloved is gone down into his garden, to the beds of spices, to feed in the gardens, and to gather lilies. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, and the pine tree, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. All flesh is like grass, and all its glory like the flower of grass. The grass withers, and the flower falls, but the word of the Lord abides forever. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple, and departed, and went and hanged himself. And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear. And Jacob hid them under the terebinth, which was by Shechem. As the turpentine tree, I stretched out my branches, and my branches are the branches of honor and grace. Who cut up mallows by the bushes. And when she could no longer hide him, she took him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak. They swear falsely, they make covenants, thus judgment springeth up as hemlock in the furrows of the field. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. A company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels, bearing myrrh, going to carry it down into Egypt. And Jacob took him rods of green poplar, and came upon them over against the mulberry trees. Another parable he put forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed. He lieth under the shady trees and the covert of the reed. For their vine is the vine of Sodom, and of the field of Gomorrah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. And the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And strengtheneth for himself one among the trees of the forest. He planteth a bay tree, and the rain doth nourish it. And thorns shall come up in her palaces, and nettles in the fortresses thereof, and it shall be an habitation of dragons and a court for owls. And the Lord God prepared a gourd, and made it to come up over Jonah, that it might be a shadow over his head, to deliver him from his grief. So Jonah was exceeding glad of the gourd. I was exalted like a cedar in Lebanon, and as the cypress tree upon the mountains of Hermon. They will live amid thornless shrubs and rows of acacias, in their everlasting shade by the side of running water. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. put in your sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And prepare ye manna and offer upon the altar of the Lord our God. They gave him vinegar to drink, mixed with gall, and when he tasted thereof, he would not drink. And behold, the rod of Aaron was budded, and brought forth buds, and bloomed blossoms, and yielded almonds. Now John wore a garment of camel's hair, and his food was locusts and wild honey. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And the woman took the 2 men and hid them with the stalks of flax which she had laid in order upon the roof. And Saul tarried in the uttermost part of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree, which is in Migron. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree, and he asked that he might die. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. And I yielded a pleasant odor like sweet storax. Hearken unto me, ye holy children, and bud forth as a rose growing by the brook of the field. Then Jacob took fresh rods of plane and peeled white streaks in them. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? So every sound tree bears good fruit. And he made the candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work made he the candlestick. Take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood which is in the basin, and touch the lintel and the 2 doorposts. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. There are many other memorable plants not mentioned by name, but very much a part of biblical period life. Solomon's lily, the doom palm, wild orchids, water lilies, cyclamen, pear trees, wild hollyhock, fennel, and still more wildflowers that sparkle in the desert, across the hills, upon the mountains, and at the waters. Thousands of miles from the Holy Land, high in the Inyo Canyon of America, a gnarled, bristle-coned pine tree stays tenaciously alive. It was 1,000 years old when Moses led his people out of Egypt. 1,600 years old when King David wrote the Psalms. 2,600 years old when Jesus walked in Galilee. The venerable tree should live another 2,000 years. For his garden, God has created flowers that bloom and perish in a week, and trees that span all of history. Is it any wonder so many people find God in their garden?